Can't pay rent for August? Here's a guide for tenants and landlords. We're going to give you an eviction update, tell you where to get money, and give you some different options for repayment. Hey there, Christian Walsh, Coldwell Banker Wire Associates. We specialize in single family, multifamily, and leasing in lovely Orange County, California. But this is an important message for all across California right now. I have been doing these updates since April. We know it's a tough time where tenants aren't always able to pay rent when it comes due. And unfortunately, it's just getting tougher out there, and we're very sorry to hear that. Some folks who maybe have been able to pay it, now as we're getting into August, unfortunately aren't going to be able to pay. So we are here to kind of walk through this and see if we can come up with a plan so that landlords and tenants can work together. Update since our last video. So unemployment insurance claims have continued to go up. There are 4.4 million Californians currently receiving unemployment. That's $4.1 billion. How does that compare? The last record in 2010 was 542 million. So we have dramatically exceeded that. The $600 weekly bonus is gone. It has not been extended. We'll talk more later in the video about what may be coming, but that is gone. So that means that the weekly unemployment payments now will be anywhere from $40 to $450. That's going to make paying rent tough. Another big update, July 13th, Newsom reclosed many counties across California. So we were able to go back inside, now we have to stay outside. So that's a big deal. Another thing looming for parents out there, schools are about to reopen, but it doesn't look like many of the schools in California are going to allow students to go back to campus. So that is another big thing that will affect parents and their ability to work. Eviction update. Long story short, there's really not much of an update. There are no new evictions happening in California. Everything has been extended. So Governor Newsom, his executive order was extended by N7120 to prevent evictions until the end of September. The Judicial Council, which had their emergency rule on April 6th that prevented any new evictions from moving forward, that is still in place. Now, the interesting thing is they may be voting to end that special rule, but as of right now, no new evictions. And the special eviction emergency rule that the Judicial Council put in place says that no new evictions can happen until 90 days after the emergency is over, and we have no idea when that's going to be. So this doesn't apply to health and safety evictions. So if somebody's running a meth lab in their rental unit, they can be evicted. So that's an important point. Those will still happen. Now there's proposed legislation, AB 1436, continues to evolve and change. Long story short, if this passes, evictions won't be able to start until April of 2021 or even later. And it will be a year before landlords can go after tenants for that back rent that's owed, as long as it's related to non-payment of rent due to COVID-19. So that's a big deal. So that's in the pipeline. We'll continue to give updates on that. Where to find money? Landlords and tenants, I know you're out there looking for places to find money, and there are some resources. So the Small Business Administration still has funds left over that can be used. So that's specifically the Paycheck Protection Program, which really helps gig workers, self-employed businesses, and some landlords, depending on how they file their taxes. There's also the EIDL loan, and this is something that many business owners who are tenants can use, and most landlords should be able to apply. So there's some money out there. Now other local municipalities have put in place special funds to help pay for rent. Los Angeles has one, City of Irvine put one in place. Those funds go like that. So if you do the research, find that your city is offering that or your municipality is offering that, make sure you apply immediately and get that done. Now the new stimulus bill, the HEALS Act is what it's being called right now, may have additional stimulus checks going out to select folks of $1,200. Now this could all change, but that would be very helpful to have those $1,200. And they may institute for those who are unemployed some sort of unemployment bonus like they had for the $600, but it's supposed to be less. So those are in the works. They haven't passed as of filming this video, but do expect some support there. Not going to have rent for August 2020. What are the options? So we're going to run through 4 different options. We need tenants and landlords to work together. And what we need is tenants, reach out to your landlords. Let them know you're not going to be able to pay some or all of the rent for August. And you do that sooner rather than later. Can't hide from it. So option number 1 is a waiver of rent. Now this could be some of the rent being waived or all of the rent being waived. In other words, the landlord says you don't owe that money at all. And this is very rare. We can't expect a landlord to do this. We heard about it happening back in April, but we are well in this crisis. And I know a lot of folks, landlords included, need that money to come in. Okay, so number 2 is a full delay of the month's rent. So this would be a case where the tenant can't pay any of the rent, so the landlord is going to delay the rent for August. Number 3 would be a partial delay. So that would be the tenant can pay some, but not all of the rent for the month. So they're going to give the landlord what they can, and the landlord is going to delay some of the rent. Now, there is nothing that states the tenant does not have to pay the rent back if it's a full delay or a partial delay. There's no legislation that has forgiven rent either nationally, locally. So tenants, you still owe this money. Number 4, what you can do is you can use the security deposit to cover some or all of the rent that can't be paid. I just spoke with a gentleman a couple days ago where he's been able to pay his rent, but he is not going to be able to pay August. He has a security deposit that exceeds his monthly rent. So he's going to work out a deal with his landlord to take some of the security deposit and apply it to the rent that he can't pay. Now in this case, the rent has been paid so that it would not be owed to the landlord at a later date. But a landlord can ask to get that security deposit replenished at some point down the road. Some important tips. Document everything. So we have a form that we wax poetic about, the rent payment delay and repayment form that you can request from us. And what this form does is allows the landlord and tenant to document what rent was missed, when the repayment's going to start, how long the repayment's going to last, etc. You need to document all this. Now, these are tough times, and the tough times are going to continue. You may have to revise this document over time and use a couple of them as time goes forward. But at the very least, here's the other important tip. Landlords and tenants work together. We need compassion on both sides. So if a tenant can't pay rent because they lost income due to COVID-19, they have to document that, let the landlord know why. But also tenants, don't forget, the landlord is losing income when you don't pay. So let's have compassion, let's work together, let's document it, let's come up with a plan that will get the landlord paid back. Don't ask for some unreasonable plan to pay everything back in September 1st. That's not going to happen. So let's come up with a mutually beneficial plan that works. And again, let's be compassionate on both sides. All right, so we ran through this, another update, and I'll continue to do these updates as long as they're needed. I'm hoping they're not needed much longer. I'm hoping everybody can get back on their feet. But in the meantime, Christian Walsh, Coldwell Banker Ware Associates, we're here to help out. Please leave comments below. Let me know what you're seeing out there. If you think we're past it and things are looking good, or if you see tenants that you're not going to be able to pay in the coming months. Let's get in front of this and let's work on it, all right? And make sure you're subscribed to our channels and our email newsletter where we keep lots of content coming. All right, we'll talk soon. Thanks.